The Dark Nights. The small town of Briarwood had always been a place where time seemed to move slowly. Nestled in a valley, surrounded by dense forests, its isolation kept it untouched by the rapid changes that shaped the rest of the world. But despite its serene setting, there was something strange about Briarwood, a darkness that hung over the town, especially when night fell. For as long as anyone could remember, the locals spoke in hushed tones about the dark nights. These were the nights when the sky turned an unnatural shade of black, the stars hidden behind a blanket of inky clouds. On those nights, the winds carried an unsettling chill, and the streets seemed eerily deserted. People locked their doors early and drew the curtains tight, for no one dared to be out after the sun dipped below the horizon. But the darkness was not just in the sky. It was something more. There were whispers of things lurking in the shadows, creatures that walked between worlds, unseen by most, but not forgotten. Some said they were ancient spirits, others spoke of old gods who had once ruled the land. But one thing was certain, they only came when the night was darkest. Lena had grown up in Briarwood, but unlike most of the townsfolk, she wasn't afraid of the dark. She had always been drawn to the mystery of the night. Her father, a historian who specialized in the occult, had often told her stories of the strange events that occurred during the dark nights. He spoke of a time long ago when the town had been cursed, a curse that was bound to the cycle of the moon and the changing seasons. According to him, the curse could never be broken, only endured. Some things are better left unknown, he would say, his eyes darkening whenever the topic came up. The dark nights aren't something you want to understand. Trust me, Lena. But Lena was curious, perhaps too curious for her own good. The stories she had heard only fueled her desire to uncover the truth. She wanted to know why the darkness held such power over Briarwood, why people feared it so deeply. And most of all, she wanted to know what lay beyond the veil of shadows that seemed to suffocate the town every few weeks. One evening, as the sun began to set on another dark night, Lena stood at the edge of the forest, staring into the thickening shadows. The air was still, and the trees loomed like silent sentinels. She had made up her mind. Tonight, she would venture into the forest. She would follow the whispers of the wind and the pull of the unknown, no matter where it led her. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, her boots crunching on the fallen leaves. As she walked deeper into the forest, the night grew colder, and the light from the moon barely pierced the thick canopy above. The trees seemed to close in around her, their branches swaying in a rhythm that was almost hypnotic. The further she went, the more she felt the weight of the darkness pressing in on her. Soon, the forest path disappeared, swallowed by the thick underbrush. But Lena pressed on, trusting her instincts to guide her. She had heard the stories, but now she was living them. She knew the risks. The townsfolk spoke of people who had ventured into the forest and never returned, but something inside her told her that tonight would be different. And then she saw it. In the distance, through the trees, there was a faint glow, a soft, pulsing light that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. It beckoned her forward, calling her name in a voice only she could hear. Lena quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest. The light grew brighter, and soon she found herself standing at the edge of a clearing. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient stone altar, covered in moss and vines. The air around it hummed with an otherworldly energy, as if the very ground beneath her feet was alive. She approached cautiously, feeling the hairs on the back of her neck rise. The altar seemed to pulse with an ancient power, and the light, now brighter than ever, seemed to originate from within it. "Welcome, Lena," a voice said, soft and yet impossibly clear. She froze, her eyes widening in shock. The voice was neither male nor female, young nor old. It was timeless, filled with a deep, resonant echo that seemed to come from the very earth itself. "Who are you?" Lena whispered, her voice trembling. "We are the Watchers," the voice replied. "We have been here since the beginning, waiting for someone like you to come. You seek the truth, do you not?" Lena swallowed hard, her mind racing. The truth about the dark nights. The truth about everything, the voice responded. The curse that binds this land, the darkness that fills your nights, and the creatures that walk in the shadows. It is all part of a greater plan, one that stretches beyond time and space. Lena stepped forward, her curiosity overcoming her fear. Tell me, she pleaded. Tell me everything. The voice fell.